The world just stopped turning the day I lost Emeka. 15 years of marriage, a wonderful son, Nonso, and a love so quiet and steady I never once questioned it. He was my rock. I was his loving wife, a mother. The thought of being alone, it never crossed my mind. But then, just like that, I was. The silence in our home was deafening, pressing down on me until I could barely breathe. Grief swallowed me whole. Friends and family would visit, their words of sympathy blurring into a meaningless hum. I'd smile, I'd nod, but my mind was stuck on that gaping, empty space Emeka left behind. That's when Chuma, Emeka's best friend, started coming around. He was a lifeline. He helped with Nonso, who was struggling so much. He'd fix a leaky faucet, bring over a warm meal when I didn't have the energy to cook. He was just there, in a way no one else was. For the first time in months, I felt like someone truly saw the depth of my pain. It all started so innocently. Just two people, bound by a shared loss, leaning on each other. Chuma was an incredible listener. He never pushed me to talk, but he was always ready when I needed to. We'd spend long evenings on the porch, reminiscing about Emeka, sharing stories, and tentatively talking about a future I couldn't even imagine. He was so patient and kind with Nonso. It was like through his own love for Emeka, he understood our heartbreak perfectly. One evening we were talking and it got late. I was exhausted, but his presence was a warm, safe blanket. We were sitting on the couch, the room lit by a single soft lamp. I don't even know how it happened, but I found myself leaning closer to him. His hand brushed against mine, and without thinking, I reached for it. What happened next wasn't a sudden spark. It was a slow burn, something that had been building quietly over time. Chuma became my comfort, my solace. He knew my pain, and in the darkness of my grief, I found myself turning to him for more than just friendship. Our affair grew in secret, like a hidden garden shielded from the world. We kept it quiet from Nonso, from our friends, from everyone. Chuma was just as careful. He didn't want to disrespect Emeka's memory or betray the trust placed in him. But the deeper we got, the heavier the secret became, and the harder it was to pretend that nothing had changed between us. The truth, however, always finds a way out. And for us, it came in the form of my son. Nonso had always been sharp. He inherited that from his father, an observant, questioning nature. He adored Chuma, but he started to notice things. The way Chuma stayed over later and later. The way my eyes would linger on him a little too long when he spoke. The shift was subtle, but Nonso felt it. One afternoon he came home from school early. The house was quiet. He walked into the living room and found us on the couch. We were sitting a little too close, sharing a soft laugh that died on our lips when we saw him. The air went still. To Nonso, the unspoken truth was as clear as day. He saw the way Chuma's hand rested on my arm, the intimacy in our shared space. This wasn't friendship. His stomach dropped. He just stood there, staring, his young heart pounding in his chest. I saw the moment his world tilted on its axis. My eyes widened in panic, but there was no denying what he had witnessed. The silence was an accusation. Chuma stood up, guilt written all over his face. Nonso, I started, my voice trembling, but the words caught in my throat. What could I possibly say? I saw, Nonso said. His voice was quiet, but it was steady, and filled with a hurt that cut me deeper than any knife. I saw you both. Those 4 words hung in the air, shattering everything. My heart broke as I watched my son, the boy who used to run to me for comfort, look at me with raw betrayal. How could I fix this? How could I undo a secret that had taken root so deeply in my heart? Nonso, I didn't mean for this to happen, I whispered, tears finally breaking free. I wanted to reach for him, to pull him close and make him understand, but an invisible wall had sprung up between us. He just shook his head. How could you, Mom? He asked, his voice cracking. How could you do this? With him? After Dad? The pain in his eyes was a reflection of my own, the very pain I'd tried so desperately to escape. But I had only passed it on to him. The days that followed were a blur of tense silence and stolen, pained glances. Nonso retreated into himself, spending all his time in his room or with friends. He stopped speaking to Chuma completely. I was trapped, caught between my son and the man who had become my everything. I knew I had made a terrible mistake, but my heart was tangled in this complicated, sorrowful love. Chuma felt the weight of it all too. He had loved Emeka like a brother. Now, by loving me, he had lost his friend's family, his place in Nonso's life. He tried to apologize, to make things right with Nonso, but the damage was done. The wound was too deep. I kept telling myself that time would heal it, but the rift between my son and me was only getting wider. One night, I sat alone in the kitchen, staring at Emeka's empty chair. I thought about the life we had, the love we shared, and the unexpected way Chuma had filled that void. But as I looked around the house that once felt so warm, I realized it was all wrong. You can hold onto the past and the present when they were at war with each other. Nonso walked in then. His face was softer, but the distance was still there. He stood in the doorway, just watching me. "Mom," he said quietly, "I don't know if I can forgive you, but I don't want to lose you either." My heart fractured all over again. This time, I didn't make excuses. I didn't try to explain. I just nodded, acknowledging the immense pain I had caused, the sacred trust I had broken. "I know, sweetheart. I know." Chuma left that night. I didn't try to stop him. We both knew things couldn't go back to how they were. Some wounds don't heal with simple time. They need honesty and hard work. I couldn't undo the past, but I could start rebuilding what I had lost with my son. The road ahead was long and uncertain, but I knew I had to face it head on. The love I found with Chuma was a desperate comfort in a storm of loss. But the love for my son, the bond of my family, that was the anchor. It would take a lifetime to heal, but it was a start. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more stories about love, loss, and the messy, beautiful journey of life.